Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Pearlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Hello. My guest is Bhajneet Singh. He is a member of the Sikh community of Los Angeles, president of Brave Lion Books, and president of Papillon Eastern Imports. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm most interested to hear about how your faith is teaching its members to protect and preserve our environment. I know that Sikhs are vegetarians, so you have a respect for animals. But let's start with what Sikhism is, because most Americans might not be familiar with this religion, and yet it is one of the major religions in the world.
Yes, so thank you so much for that question. The Sikh faith, or Sikh way of life, started in the mid-1400s, so 1469 is when the religion started. So it's a rather new religion compared to some of the other major religions in the world. We currently sit the fifth largest religion in the world. We believe in equality, we believe in one God. We were taught all of the things that we need to live from our gurus, who were divinely inspired messengers of God, who came here in the region of Punjab, a state in northern India, in between India and Pakistan. And we were taught how to live and how to avoid anger, greed, jealousy, ego, attachment, and how to focus our minds on hard work, sharing what we have, and remembering and thanking the divine.
Does it have a major policy, principle, guiding goal of taking care of the other plants and animals on the planet?
Yes, it certainly does. We believe that everything exists in harmony, the way that God, or the divine Waheguru, we refer to it as, created everything. And so in that harmony, everything exists, and we're not to upset that harmony. We believe so strongly in it, in that we constantly are in awe and amazed by nature, every facet of nature, by the flowers, by the leaves, by the plants, by the way things are working simultaneously all together and working in this beautiful way that we see with our eyes.
Why does your faith encourage people to give out food? You have free food all the time.
Yes, we believe in sharing everything that we have with those who need help. So that's one of the key principles behind what you're referring to, which is langar, Langar, which is a very fundamental concept within our religion. The other concept that lies behind langar is the concept of equality. And equality in langar is that basically whenever anybody comes to a Sikh place of worship and learning, or a gurdwara, they're given food, and everybody sits together on the floor, which represents humility, at an equal level. So it doesn't matter if President-elect Joe Biden comes, or if a homeless person comes from the street into a gurdwara, we all will sit at the same level and eat the same food, very significant symbol of equality within our religion. And this comes at a really revolutionary time period, because at the time in India when this started, which we're talking like the mid-1400s through 1500s and 1600s, and of course carries forward today, there was not equality. There was really distinctions based off of caste, based off of gender, based off of social status, based off of wealth. There was many distinctions where rulers were treated special and other people who were more common were not treated special, and then the caste system, of course.
The meals are delicious. I've had some, and yet they're vegetarian.
Yes. All meals served in gurdwaras are to be vegetarian, so that if anybody is vegetarian, they can certainly partake in the food. The food is meant to be eaten by all. Some Sikhs are vegetarian, some Sikhs are not vegetarian. And of course, we have such a strong appreciation for the environment. As we grew up, our ancestors grew up as farmers. We're a farming community. The state of Punjab, half of it's in Pakistan and half of it's in India now. It was split. Our ancestors and even our relatives from back home in Punjab, they're used to tending to the land. And when you tend to the land, you are one one with the environment. The environment basically dictates your food on the table and your day for that, what you're going to do that day.
That's obviously domesticated animals that we eat. What about the wildlife? What is the guiding principle to protect our ecosystems, our diversity of life that we are so dependent upon?
Yes, we feel like all of the wildlife out there, we have something to learn from. We can learn so many different things based off of how the wildlife acts, and we are told to live in harmony with everything in nature and to be awestruck, inspired by them. So there's lots of things that we can learn from wildlife, and so we believe that all of nature is in harmony and it works all well together, and that for us to disrupt that is not good.
Many religions have special days, special festivals, special ceremonies for the plants or the animals. A tree planting day, a day to bless the animals. What kinds of special activities do you have that recognize our connection to nature?
That's a great question. So I recognize that some cultures have those certain days. I think that our teachings teach us that it's not about certain days that are more important in terms of protecting environment or planting a tree, but we feel like it needs to be a part of every day for us, and it has to be a part of our inner nature. So it shouldn't be a conscious effort. It should be a unconscious consciousness, if that makes sense. It should be who we are at all times without even having to deliberate on it. So when it's like that within our minds, then littering or pollution or any of that stuff is not even a question, but rather our entire lives, our entire days are spent in awe of nature and in appreciation of nature. And once we're in appreciation of nature, then doing service for that nature comes hand in hand.
When I pass by your ashram, I believe that's what you would call the equivalent of a church or a synagogue or a mosque, I hear constant 24-hour music. Do those songs have special connections to our environment?
Yes, certainly. And so the name of the place of worship, it's a place of worship and learning and community, and it's called a Gurdwara. Ashram is another name that people have adopted. Many of the hymns or shabads that are written in our Guru, which is the guiding light for us that takes us from darkness into light or guides our lives. The Guru Granth Sahib talk about the environment.
The one here in West Los Angeles is a converted building, was not built specially for that. But I know that your Golden Temple in the Punjab is a beautiful architectural masterpiece. Those of us who care about the natural environment also care about historic preservation and protecting buildings that have unique significance. Could you describe that particular place?
Oh, yes. The Golden Temple, or Darbar Sahib, which is located in Amritsar, in the Punjab state of India, is one of the most beautiful places I've been to in my life. As you enter into this compound, feelings come to your body that cannot even describe. As you enter, you go down, representing humility. You go down and there's a walkway that goes around a large body of water, and there's a bridge carrying forward to the middle, which houses the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is our current guru, current and forever guru, which guides us in our lives. And there's 24 hours a day, there is prayers and those songs that you referred to, which are shabads and hymns.
And you're welcome there even if you're not a Sikh.
Oh, you're welcome there. You will have meals there. You will be greeted hand in hand. You will be treated very, very well there.
And that's the case even at any of your places here in Southern California.
Yes. Our Gurdwaras, the institution of the Gurdwaras and the place of worship and learning is to create a place where people can come for langar, which is food, create a place where people can come for community, and create a place where people can actually come for, if they don't have a place to stay, then they can come and stay. Now, some practicality issues have arisen in the U.S. about staying, but in India it certainly still exists where if you don't have a place to stay and you find a Gurdwara, you are welcome there for free.
I have been doing a series of interviews with leaders of different faiths. The one common factor, whether or not it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, or goddess worship, or some of the other religions, is that they all seem to care about the environment. Is that because we basically are human beings that have come and developed our current belief systems from the ancient, naturalistic, pantheist view of nature is sacred, life is sacred, and we're all one?
Yeah, it certainly comes down to everybody using the environment and that we are all one in appreciation of the environment. And from our standpoint, we were taught in the early 1700s, and we were taught that we must fight for those that are being persecuted and those who need our help. Right now, our environment is under attack. We must be brave and strong and activist enough to make sure that we fight for our environment the way that we were taught to fight against unjust rule and to fight against terrorism so that everybody can live an independent, free life.
So you're joining multi-faith communities in tackling our climate change problem, our overpopulation problem, our loss of diversity problem?
Yes, I think everybody must do their part.
You need to explain your name because in my neighborhood there are a lot of Sikhs and they all seem to have the same last name. And I think Singh means lion?
Yes, so my name is Bhajneet Singh, and my first name means one who remembers the divine constantly. Singh is the last name for all Sikh men, and Kaur is the last name for all Sikh women. And Singh means lion, and lions have sovereignty. They rule. They only eat what they need to eat. Kaur means lioness. And has an element of princess to it. It has an element of also that lion to it. At the time, last names indicated your caste. So if you were of the shoemaker caste, a lower caste, then you would have a certain last name. If you were of the higher caste, you would have a certain last name. So our gurus told us all men will be Singh and all women will be Kaur, and it didn't matter what caste you were a part of, what your family did for a profession.
And what does Sikh mean? Which language is that?
Sikh is actually, it means student. So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to be constantly searching for the truth and looking to learn in every situation, every conversation, every interaction that we have, we should constantly be learning.
Most major religions have special teachings, whether or not it's in the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. What is your book of teachings called, and how many teachings are there regarding the life around us?
Our guru, a guru is one who takes us to light from darkness. And you can imagine if we're in darkness, we can't see. If we're going through a room and we're in darkness, we could hit a chair and fall over. We could trip on something. We could bang our head on the floor. Then when we fall, we could hit a wall. We could do all these different things. But so we're told that the guru and our current guru and current and forever guru is the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which has 1,430 pages of shabads and hymns. So that is our guiding light, which takes us from this darkness of not knowing what to do, not knowing how to live, not knowing how to exist, to the lightness of all of a sudden everything is so clear. And we know that we have to be generous and nice and honest and kind towards the environment and towards people and towards animals. And we have to eliminate all of our vices.
You're president of Papillon Eastern Imports, also president of Brave Lion Books.
Brave Lion Books is a boutique publishing house. It's www.bravelionbooks.com. And I'm most excited, and I feel like it's super relevant to this conversation, about a book, and it's called Surfer Singh. And this story is a story of a Sikh family, a unique-looking family with turbans and having the visual identity of a Sikh, and their love for surfing. So they absolutely love surfing, and it's a mom and a dad and 3 kids, and they live close to the beach. They go to the water. Their kids are too young. They dream of the day they can, hit the waves and finally surf. Their dad is a surfer. And then all of a sudden, they get these surfboards for a birthday present, and their dad starts to teach them, and they go through the pool, and they learn and learn and learn. And then they're finally ready to go to the ocean, and there's a big sign that says, warning, they're not allowed to go in the water because it's contaminated. There's an oil spill. Then they go and they empower themselves, and they start protesting. They go to their school, they go to their teachers, and they go to the city council, and they really sort of protest in support of the environment so that everybody comes to the beach. They do this beach cleanup, and they try their best, but the water is still contaminated. And then finally, with the grace of the divine, then the rain comes, and it washes things out, and it clears the ocean, and then the final scene is they're surfing as a family.
A great story to have a love of the out of doors and also realize you have to have a clean out of doors to enjoy the out of doors. You are importing clothes, you're distributing clothes, you're writing books, particularly for young people. You and Sikhs have a very special look. They're wearing the turbans. Can you explain that?
The turbans for Sikhs, back when this started, only the royal people and the royal Muslims were allowed to wear turbans. They were the only ones that were allowed to ride horses. And so our guru said, we don't buy that. That doesn't work within our framework. So he said, every Sikh should wear a turban. We are all royal. We are all sovereign. And Sikhs should ride horses. And in 1699, our 10th guru was Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and he formalized the official baptism ceremony. He dictated 5 Ks, 5 items that we must keep with us at all time. And one of them is an iron bracelet that we wear usually on our dominant hand. Another one is a sword that we carry with us, oftentimes underneath our clothes. And it's not like a huge sword. It's like a little dagger, but it represents us to make sure that we have the tools and the strength and the courage and the bravery to defend those people who need defense and to be able to defend ourselves as well. Another one of them is a kanga, which is a small wooden comb that we wear usually in our hair, and it represents cleanliness. Another one is our kashada, which is a long kind of shorts that we wear under our clothes, which represents purity. And the 5th one is our long unshorn hair, which is to be covered by a turban to represent royalty and to represent that we are a member of the Sikh faith. And we've gone through times where we were persecuted in India, where if people were to see a Sikh, there's basically a price to be put on the head of a Sikh. And our guru said, we're not going to hide. We're not going to hide our identity. We're not going to pretend like we're not Sikhs. We're going to stand out in a crowd, and we're going to fight.
When you recite your prayers, they're not in English, are they?
No, they're not. They're in a lot of different languages, and the script is the Gurmukhi script. One of the hymns that I remember that we say every day, multiple times in a day, talks about air being the guru and water being the father and the earth being like our mother. And that's how much we should respect these things.
What does it sound like?
So that particular scripture, that line is Pavan Guru Pani Pita Mata Tart Mahat.
There's so many stories for children's books, and what's important is that we show diversity in those books, and that's what you're trying to do, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I have 3 children, and their ages 5, 4, and 2, and we read about 3 books per night per kid, so that's like 9 books per night, and that's like almost 70 books a week. We're talking hundreds of books a month that we're constantly reading, and sometimes they're reading the same books over and over again that they love. But what I noticed is that there's just so little diversity in the children's books that are out there in the market. So that's why Brave Lion Books started to publish books with diverse characters so that all kids can see themselves as the protagonists in stories, and all kids can relate to those stories in a different way. So that's the inspiration behind Brave Lion Books.
Since Sikhs believe in equality, is there going to be a female guru?
So gurus, there were 10 gurus, and then the 10th guru ordained that the Guru Granth Sahib is the forever guru. However, at the same time, he ordained that any 5 baptized Sikhs together has the decision-making power of the guru, and so they can make political decisions, social decisions, judicial decisions, or any kind of decisions that are required in the presence of the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the Holy Scriptures. And so in the 5 baptized Sikhs, it can be man, woman, elder, child, anyone.
We mentioned the Golden Temple. Can you describe the architecture?
Yes, so the Golden Temple, or Darbar Sahib, some of the key elements of architecture that are there is that, 1, you have to step down in order to go into the compound, which represents drop your ego at the door and come down, stepping down. And then 2, it's surrounded by water. We believe that water is something that can purify us. So we believe in bathing and cleansing and stuff like that. And so another element is that it has 4 doors to it. And that represents all directions, north, east, west, south. And that represents that people are welcome from all 4 directions. Every type of a person is welcome into this compound, into this place. It's a truly divine place. It's surrounded by a plate of gold, which was done later on, past the Guru period, I think in around the 1800s-ish. It's just absolutely beautiful. Even the fish are in bliss in the water.
Thank you so very much for explaining some of the beliefs and principles of Sikhism, of your concern for equality, both for human beings and for the planet. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
I have been speaking with Bhajneet Singh, who is a member of the Sikh community of Los Angeles. I'm Nancy Pearlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Pearlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.